What is up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers? Now, if you're a gun guy like me, or you've maybe just played Call of Duty, you're familiar with this bad boy. This is the Barrett M82A1, or just the Barrett, because you know, it's the Barrett. A lot of people would consider this a dream gun, but still, you know, thousands of these have been produced, so while it's still, you know, expensive and really cool, you know, it's not exactly uncommon. And what we're going to be talking about today is its much lesser known and more exotic sibling, the Barrett prototype M82A2. Let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about what the fuck this is. Well, for starters, it's a 50 cal. I mean, everybody knows that the Barrett is a 50 cal. But why is that impressive? I mean, why does it have to be so big and bulky? I mean, hell, the Desert Eagle's a handgun, and that's chambered in 50 cal. Well, not really. See, the Desert Eagle is chambered in 50 Action Express. It's still technically a 50 cal because the bullet is, you know, half-inch diameter. That's what makes a 50 cal. But it's not the same as the Barrett, which is 50 BMG. You see, 50 Action Express is big for a pistol cartridge, but that is 50 BMG that the Barrett is chambered in. This is you, not subscribed to the channel. This is the average Brandon Herrera subscriber. This could be you. So for such a heavy caliber, you're gonna need kind of a heavy gun to be able to handle it, especially in semi-auto. Now, such a heavy gun, like a semi-automatic 50 BMG, is pretty hard to fire from the shoulder while standing if you've never done it before. That is, unless you have a Barrett M82A2. That's right. This thing was made to fire from the shoulder while standing. Fuck yeah. Now, some of you are probably thinking, no, Brandon, can't you just shoulder fire a regular Barrett? I mean, I've seen people do that in videos online before. The answer is, well, yes, but actually no. Yes, obviously it is possible to shoulder fire a regular Barrett. However, it's not really that practical, and it's not what this gun was designed to do. The Barrett was designed to be fired from the prone. Should be obvious given that it comes with a fucking bipod built onto it. It's made to be a relatively long-range anti-material rifle, and firing it from the shoulder, not really conducive to that longer range part. So how does one go about making the Barrett easier to shoulder fire? Well, in this case, they bullpupped it. Now, bullpups, for those of you who aren't familiar, are something that I am not a fan of. It's when, in order to try to shrink the overall size of the weapon, they put the fire control group ahead of the magazine. This typically removes the need for a, you know, normal stock in the case of like the AUG and the Tavor. On a weapon like the M82A2, just means you got a little bit of receiver sticking out behind your shoulder. So this is kind of an over-the-shoulder weapon, much like I guess an RPG is supposed to be. Which I guess checks out, because this gun is basically supposed to be able to turn you into a mobile artillery piece. Of course, the original Barrett fire control group is right here behind the magazine well. This one was moved forward with the use of a trigger linkage, which is why bullpups usually have some of the shittiest triggers possible. This gun being no real exception. Showing clear, gun is clear. This trigger is not great. Reason for that is because you've got the regular trigger pull of a Barrett M82 with the added trigger pull of your trigger linkage. So your trigger is now performing the action of something that is like 1.25 feet behind it. So yeah, not really surprised that it's kind of ass. Now, instead of your pistol grip and, you know, trigger group, fire control group back here, on this model, we have a shoulder stock, or basically just like a shoulder pad. And honestly, it's not as uncomfortable as it looks. This is actually it's not a smooth gun to fire. It's not an easy shooting gun to fire, but compared to most 50 cals, this is pretty decent. Do a little mobility test with this thing and intentionally try not to ruin their steel out here. You know, it's actually shockingly easy to carry around this M82A2 like this. Compared to a Barrett, you really couldn't be running around like this super easy. Pretty mobile. I think it's because of the way I have it up on my shoulder like so. All of the weight is just going straight down into my spine where it should be. I'm beginning to see why I think the military like this. Not too bad. My cardio sucks. So I've mentioned before that this is kind of a rare piece. I may have been underselling that a little bit. From what I've been able to gather, and I really have no way of confirming this, so if Barrett would like to correct me on this, I'd be happy to issue a correction. I believe only 10 of these prototypes were ever made, which is kind of cool if that's the case, because based on the serial number, I believe this is number 10. So supposedly 10 of these ever made. I don't know how many Barrett still has, and I don't know if the military kept any. I do know one of these is still in a Hollywood prop house because, surprise, surprise, this is the supposed 20mm rifle from Jurassic Park 3.
Bigger. Why do they always have to go bigger?
No, the good Jurassic Park 3.
Alan.
It was okay. To my knowledge, this is the only one that was ever sold commercially, at least that I've been able to find. And that was thanks to Rock Island Auction. So big shout out to those guys. They've got some really, really cool shit at some of their premier auctions. It's become the new enhanced version of my gun broker addiction, that's for sure. So on their website, they got some more cool photos of this thing, as well as a write-up on the history of the M82A2, as well as what I ended up paying for it before auction fees and taxes. So why was the M82A2 ever made in the first place? Well, the answer is the military actually asked for it. See, the military had already adopted the original Barrett M82 for a while, and they wanted, and I shit you not, a version that could be shouldered and fire at enemy helicopters, either standing or crouching. And so Barrett went back to their mad scientists, and they came out with these prototypes. That's where details start to get a little hazy, but best I can figure is that the military came back to Barrett and said, "Oh my God, that was a shit idea. We're so sorry. We're not buying any." And these were never produced. That didn't stop Metal Gear Solid, but hey, still kind of cool. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and simulate what the recoil force of that would be like. Yeah, just kidding. This gun is unloaded. What the fuck, guys? Did you actually think I was just gonna fire a 50 BMG straight up in the air into God knows where downtown San Antonio? Jesus, I thought better of you guys, truthfully. So now that we've talked a little bit about the M82A2, let me show you its features. First off, the magazine release, as you can probably tell, is in kind of a weird spot. It's this thing. Again, prototype, I get it. You push this in, releases that, and you have a very crudely dremeled square hole right there in the side of what is otherwise a standard M82 mag. So 10 rounds, semi-automatic, 50 BMG. Now we're gonna do a quick tear down, show you the guts of this thing, what makes it tick. And while I do that, I will encourage you that if you are interested in gunsmithing, gun design, stuff like that, you think this shit is cool, kind of want to get started in the industry, you check out our sponsor for the day, which is SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute. They're a great resource if you want to get a jump start into your career in gunsmithing. So if you want to check them out, the link is in the description and in the pinned comment. You can do cool shit like this. So this, as you see, I pull the bolt back after pulling those two pins out. It's going to separate what is basically the upper and the lower. And so it hinges out just like the normal Barrett. So as you can see here, with the exception of the fire control group being further forward, this is all just like your standard Barrett. You've got your giant ass recoil spring here in the back, and you've got your bolt and carrier up front here. Pretty much your standard semi-automatic 50 cal with a triangular bolt up front. So as you can see here, the trigger kind of has a linkage that goes up through here, and you see this welded piece on here. This covers up the linkage that links it back to this bit in the rear, which is what fires the gun through the bolt. Barrett's one of those weird systems where a lot of the firing mechanism is actually in the bolt itself. If you're not familiar with this system or you just don't give a shit, don't worry, I'm not gonna go into the details of the internals because this video would be 30 fucking minutes long. Speaking of which, I think it's about time for an ADD break. For our regularly scheduled ADD break, the most ridiculously overkill White Claw penetration test of all time. Nobody said the gun was easy to rack from the shoulder. Taking out the White Claw Air Force in 3, 2, 1. Straight through. straight in and out, dumping like 3% of that round's energy into this White Claw and the rest into the berm behind it. So we're gonna need something probably a little bigger if we wanna show off the real kind of power that we're dealing with when it comes to a 50 cal Barrett. Now, I've shot enough dumb shit at close range in my day to know I'm not gonna be overly fond of what comes of this. The more I look at it, the more I see a shower in my future. And then like a real shower. That's fucking gross. I swear the shit I do for you guys. 3, 2, 1. I'm dry. Are you dry? So needless to say, I think we got pretty good effect there. 1 Pepsi bottle, 2 Pepsi bottle, and eviscerated the bottom of 3rd Pepsi bottle. Yeah, I think that does a little bit better job of showing the metric ass load of force that 50 BMG has behind it. Now onto the upper. As you can tell, this is pretty much just an M82. Like this is, I'm pretty sure, almost unmodified, just a different location of the Picatinny rail and everything. Obviously we've got a EOTech up top for lulls. Not exactly taking this out to long distance. As you can see, we've got the typical Barrett pogo stick of death. So this right here is a spring system. This is short recoil operated, whereas like the Lynx and things like that are long recoil. This one is short recoil, which means it uses the rearward motion of the barrel under recoil, you know, after firing a round, to push this entire chamber assembly back with the bolt and carrier, and the motion of that moving backward unlocks the bolt and allows the weapon to then cycle. So no gas system, this one entirely works on inertia, hence the pogo stick. Putting it back together, relatively simple, just kind of big and unwieldy. Got to get this tab here on a bar up front, pull the bolt back enough to clear, send it back forward, and then you are ready to put in your pins. And then one end through there. Now your M82A2 is back and ready to do what it does best. Bag dump into trash. Oh, and take out helicopters. Now we're gonna let this baby finally do what she was built to do. Take out enemy air support. It could be one of the new Chinese drones. Actually, technically is exactly what that is. Well guys, I hope you learned a thing or two from this video, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below. I appreciate you guys being subscribed to the channel, and as always, I'll see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Enemy helo down. So here we have our simulated enemy aircraft that I'm trying to figure out how to steer properly. Oh, wait. Oh, well, no, fuck. Come here. Doesn't like to maintain altitude very much. It's a work in progress.